Welcome again to the News Express, exclusively brought to you by Business AM, Nigeria's fastest financial newspaper. I am Chukunonso Modi. Now, eye-catching stories hitting the headlines this week. Let's get right into it. Now, the big story, 4 trillion naira subsidy holds significant negatives for Nigerians. WB, that's World Bank. Sub-headlines, World Bank analysts urge FG to rethink impact on Nigerians. Second sub-headline, spent 10 trillion naira on subsidy payments in 11 years. Now, another headline, Africa's PEs, VC raised $7.4 billion on rising deals, investor confidence. You should also check out finance and investment with currency inflation drag SSA market cap. Definitely look out for commodities and agriculture as well, with agricultural ways for development. Visionary Voices column 2 with applying the COVID blueprint to cholera. Definitely executive knowledge series with family war conflict and mobile phone. And also check out Project Syndicate with how the G7 can support Africa's climate agenda. Now let's bring in Mr. Philip Isakba, the publisher of Business AM, to help us make sense of the headlines. Good morning, Philip.
Yeah, good morning, Anso. It's good to be back. Quite a lot. We have, I think, the spring meeting of the World Bank IMF just finished.
Yes.
And a lot of things came out at that meeting.
Okay. All right, so let's get right into it now. Starting with the first headline, which says 4 trillion naira subsidy holds significant negatives for Nigerians, World Bank. Now, the President Muhammadu Buhari's administration has announced that it will spend 4 trillion naira on petroleum product subsidy payment. Now, this move has received knocks. On its arrival, it received knocks, and then the criticism hasn't stopped. In fact, it has now been labeled as having significant negatives for Nigeria, its people, and its economy. Now, before we go into what the World Bank stance on this move is, what's your own take? Do you feel we should do this?
Yeah, this is something that refuses to go away. It's been on. There's a number there that says 10 trillion naira in 11 years. Enough time to build enough time to build your own refineries, if you wanted to. Brand new refineries. Enough time to fix your refineries if you really wanted to, and then you have to place this side by side with what this amount of money could have gone for. There's a lot of areas, so many areas that need this kind of funds to go into. Nigeria doesn't need to be doing this, This is, utterly ridiculous for an oil-producing country, one of the top oil-producing countries, or even all exporting countries in the world, to find itself in this kind of quagmire, for such a long time. My personal opinion, this should have been done away with quite a long time ago. It has created a whole lot of distortions, in the system in such a way that there is quite a lot of suffering going on, and this is what the World Bank might have been alluding to.
All right. I agree with you that this thing has been dragging for a while. At one moment they say they are going to remove subsidy, the next moment they say, okay, no, not now, we'll move it further. And this move too is coming at a time when the country's fiscal revenue receipts are dwindling. There's a lot that is happening, and it's so disturbing that it has attracted the attention of the World Bank and other stakeholders. Now, this is not the first time the World Bank is calling on the government to rethink its subsidy policy, and also advising. What exactly is their worry with this subsidy policy? Is it just impact it will have on Nigerians, or there's more to it?
Well, there are many people who have come up to criticize the World Bank in the past when the World Bank has raised concerns about subsidy payments.
Yes.
They talk about inefficiencies in the system when you put in subsidies, especially because it is prone to corruption. A few years back, it was a subject of a wide probe, that revealed that they had people who were supposed to be bringing in fuel. I mean, that was when it was thrown open to all. I mean, everyone. The private sector people. I mean, private importers of fuel from abroad. And it exposed the amount. The great deal of corruption that was inherent in the system. It's just that it is an inefficient system. And I mean, people cannot just understand why you cannot tackle the problem from the root, which is that you are not actually producing fuel for your people, and that's why you are importing. And I mean, people will think that, many people globally, will think it's absurd, that this is continuing to happen for years. So the World Bank might have its own, for instance, its own policy direction, wanting it's a free. The World Bank pursues World Bank, IMF, the Bretton Woods organizations. They pursue what you call the free market system, and they want a pure capitalist system to operate in the country, where everything is subjected to the free market, to the reign of the free market. And that might be one angle to it, but they also see the inefficiencies in the system, what this causes for the people, especially because you are just waking up to, after the budget had been put together, and then after you have created some sort of a subsidy, and you find that you are in a total mess, and then you have to reappropriate or appropriate another 4 trillion. 4 trillion isn't small money, and then they put this against. The World Bank would be interested also, apart from their pursuit of a free market policies for the economy, they will also be looking at it in terms of they have a World Bank has a remit to be interested in the healthcare, in education, because they give out numbers in terms of minimum budget allocation to healthcare, minimum budget allocation to education, and then perhaps other infrastructure that you need to put in place, for the economy to function properly. So they'll be looking at this and matching this against what's been allocated to education, what's been allocated to healthcare, and what's been allocated to other social spending. And if you look at it, you discover, for instance. And then you discover that this isn't such a good thing. You will find that in truth, they will look at the numbers and say, 4 trillion naira, for a subsidy. And then you weigh it against, in truth, how many people really, is this subsidy for? How many people directly benefit from this subsidy? And then when you put it against the total population, they'll be concerned really, and that's where they're coming from really. When they talk about being negative, because majority of the people, do not directly have this subsidy impact on their lives, and that is where they are coming from. That you're spending this amount of money, you're budgeting this 4 trillion naira at a time when there's quite a lot of challenge. There are many challenges with the fiscal operations of the government in terms of revenue creation, in terms of ability to what you have, what you are generating in terms of revenue, and then because there's quite a lot of stress, within the economy, that they think that at the end of the day, this money is just it's just going to pile up a whole lot of issues for not just the economy, but ultimately the people that you are intending to serve. Because one other thing is that this money is going to be borrowed money. The system is so stressed. The budget is in deficit. You talk about a huge amount of deficit that it's difficult to even get your head around it. Because in some economies, these are election issues. How are you going? Some people are going to ask, the deficit is so high. How are you going to cut down this deficit? People don't talk about that.
No.
The National Assembly doesn't even debate such issues. They're talking about deficit that is, if you look at 2021, the numbers are so interesting. I mean, dangerously interesting. When you have what you earn, being far below. At the end, 2021, we are talking about you needed 13.57 trillion to run an economy where the budget was supposed to be like I think 5 or so trillion. And then you found that what you were able to generate was for 1.3. Sorry, well, you had 4.2 trillion out of the 5.5 trillion was spent on debt servicing alone. You earned 5.5 trillion and you spent 4.2 trillion on servicing your debt. So where did you get all the other the money that you needed to fund education, to fund social infrastructure, to fund healthcare and the rest? So this is why the World Bank might be really, really concerned. That at the end of the day, you are just piling up. I mean, you can get away with it, but they're saying you are piling up a lot of issues for the citizens, but you need to go back. So you need to go back to what is the root? Where is this problem coming from? The problem is coming from the fact that Nigeria has 4 refineries, 2 in Port Harcourt, 1 in Warri, and 1 in Kaduna, right? And they are not producing zilt, they are producing zilt, they're not producing anything, nothing. They're not producing anything for the economy. So you have to import. And you've spent, they say, in 11 years, you spent, is it 10 years? You spent 11 trillion. Or 10 trillion for 11
years. 10 years. 11 years, you spent 10 trillion.
So that is really, it's something that they will be studied in many business schools, if you talk about managing the national economy. And people will be wondering what exactly is going on in Nigeria, in terms of how it is managing its resources, how economic management is being handled. The other day, circulating in the social media was one big school in America or so, using Nigeria as an example of how not to how not to run a country. So this is simple management. So there's something quite wrong, when a country has a challenge with regards to you are not producing. You are producing crude oil. You are exporting crude oil. You have no refineries. You have refineries, but the refineries are not producing fuel, petrol, products for use within your country. So you have to go out, to import. Now, so mind you, this is a system, where we have the NNPC, producing reports showing that all the refineries are still being, I would say run, are still being recognized in terms of their spending, in terms of their allocations, in terms of whether they are for training they are still going for training. They are still having training. They are still having what they call board meetings or whatever, management meetings where the expenditures are spent. So and then you are talking about billions of billions being used to just keep those refineries, not keeping personnel, in those refineries. You still have people collecting allowances, for refineries that are not producing anything, and that is the real concern, So why is it difficult cause of the problem? So the country entirely is now waiting for a private sector refinery in this case, the Dangote refinery. So it's almost like you resign yourself to not fate, because I don't think that's fate.
It's not fate.
You resign yourself to indolence. That's the way. And then, I mean, if this were to be some kind of let me say private sector management, everybody would be out of work. With regards to those refineries, and even as far as the supervisory organ, which is the NNPC, So that's the main concern. So, I mean, it baffles quite a lot of people. I mean, so many people. But the concern with subsidy has always been that this money being expended on subsidy, one, is not generally reflective in terms of impacting more people than it does, that it is assumed to do, and then because money that could have been spent on other things have been, is being expended on what shouldn't have been the case, So World Bank, but the economy is challenged in different areas, so many areas, such that you wonder why this kind of issue, is still coming up, year after year, and I mean, the people you expect to say something or do something about it, are just not doing anything, So that's the worry for many analysts, and the World Bank is always stepping in. There'll be those who say, subsidy is cushioning, because at the end of the day, what you look at is the pump price, of fuel.
Yes.
So when you say pump price is going to go to 200 to 300, that appears to be where you draw the emotion out of people, and then they tell the World Bank to go mind its business, or they tell even some other analysts to say go mind their business, But the key thing is that the buck stops with those who have responsibility for dealing with the problem, and not having this problem completely resolved, up to this time.
So let me understand you, Mr. Philip. Does this mean that the problem doesn't lie with removing subsidy, but there's still more to it? For example, in fact, not using the 4 refineries that we have is already a big problem. So are you saying removing subsidy is not going to change anything?
Well, the key thing with removing subsidy is that you subject everything to market forces, So ultimately, you have prices will go up, because if you're still importing, then you find that you're going to subject yourself to international market prices. Crude oil has gone up so much. But you also have to consider the fact that it's crude oil from Nigeria that has been sent out anyway, So it's this swap system, produce fuel for us, and then I don't know how the elaborate arrangement that they have, but the basic understanding is that crude oil is shipped out, our crude oil, because the NNPC has a allocation, for those 4 refineries that says, I think, altogether 445,000 barrels per day, So there's still that allocation to those refineries, which belong to the NNPC, I mean, that is what they're supposed to be sending out for to be refined and brought back. So there's still that allocation from the system that the NNPC or the 4 refineries or the refineries, based on their capacity, 445,000 barrels, is still going to the NNPC for to be refined and brought back. So now I think it's about time to begin to ask, if we are refining our crude, because it's not being sold, to the refineries, It's just a swap system. So take the crude oil, refine and bring back what's it called, petroleum products, depending on the type. And then there's still, either they pay them straight away for that service, or they say there are other byproducts, because it's not just petrol that comes out when you take crude oil out. They probably will say, keep what comes out, the other byproducts, and perhaps sell and make your money, and just give us a crude oil. So technically, you have to look at the key issue is the transportation cost, which you probably build into it, to get back your crude oil. So ordinarily you expect that the crude oil that is used for the swap system, is supposed to be that if you subsidize that, then there shouldn't be any problem. You shouldn't be measuring that against the international crude oil prices, because it's your own crude, you can say we subsidize that, and then you add the transport or the landing cost to it, and it shouldn't be as high as they tend to make it look like, because what they talk about is more the free market approach, this free market system. So if you take away subsidy, it's now subjected to international crude oil prices, and then goes up or goes down. You have to reflect that in what you do. But the key thing is that we are saying 445,000 barrels per day crude, should be able to give us enough in such a way. Probably you need more, but at 445,000 barrels, if that's what the NNPC, the allocation that they're supposed to get, that should be where the subsidy should be going into, and then you probably add the landing, the transportation cost, and then expect things to progress from there, but absolutely not something that one really understands. It's been an industry that has always been described as opaque, because what goes on there is, it's usually not well understood by everybody and not made clear deliberately so, and that's where the confusion always comes from.
Honestly, this article really spoke about a lot. It really exposed. I wondered how they're spending the money, spending 10.4 trillion naira between 11 years. That's a lot. And instead
and then not dealing with the problem.
Yes.
The key problem is that you are not producing. It's a simple thing. Your refineries are not producing, What is so difficult in deciding why are these refineries not working?
Exactly.
Is it that they are obsolete? Is it that they are in the wrong hands? Because that is where the re-engineering needs to take place. Within the refineries, you need to have refineries that produce. If something is wrong, is it a people issue? Where is the corruption? How can this continue? How you sustain a system for such a long time, and then you expect what do you expect, and then if you see the NNPC financials shows, that these refineries are getting their budget regularly, they're getting their salaries regularly.
That's surprising.
You have so many things going to those refineries. Everything is still working. You have a board of directors, you have a managing directors, you have everybody still there.
So they're paying them for what?
That is the question, and then nobody is angry that such a thing exists. If you had a business, whether small or medium or large, and then even if you are not the one directly supervising it, and you come once in a while, if you come first time, you come the second time, you'll be asking certain questions, and then if you come the third time and you see that things are not changing, you'll be angry, and say, what exactly is going on here, and then you see that spending is still going on in terms of training. What they're training to, they're going on training, they're going on seminars, in different parts of the world, so salaries are going on, and you're not talking about 1 million naira. You're talking about in terms of billions. 60 billion, 100 billion. That is going to these refineries, and nothing is coming out from there. So what exactly is going on? Is it that if these things are too big, why don't you just sell them off?
Honestly.
If you cannot manage them, give them out to those who can manage, and put some basic expectations. It's as simple as that. How that cannot be understood by those who manage the system is what beats everybody. Especially those who are rational and look at these things from a broad point of view.
Yes, it's actually an easy thing to do, but I don't know, with Nigeria it's never easy. There's always one thing or the other. No wonder they're using us as case study abroad. I mean, you can't blame them because we haven't shown that we know what we're doing. So I really do not blame them. Okay, let's move to the second headline, which says Africa's PE VC raised $7.4 billion and rising deals, investor confident. Now, a recent report by the African Private Equity and Venture Capital Association, which also provides insight into the deals, states that the total value of private capital deals reported in Africa reached a record high of $7.4 billion, representing a 118% increase over the $3.4 billion registered in 2020 and exceeding by 85% the annual average deal value of $4 billion between 2016 and 2020. Now, Mr. Philip, what exactly does this mean for the African private capital industry?
This is positive news. There's good news. We've just come out of what's it called? Coming out of this COVID issue that was serious in 2020. All of 2020 was completely shut down. So this is positive. Basically, what this is about is how much money is being raised, through private equities, private equities and venture capitalists, who put in money, into some businesses. Let's call them businesses, mainly in the high tech space nowadays. The fintech, the high tech space where there are a lot of innovations coming up, and then people are scrambling. Africa has become what you call some sort of a mecca, so to speak, for attracting those kind of funding, So the thing is that this increase, which is say 85%, of the annual average, of between 2016 and 2020, it's such that you have had many people looking into Africa, and looking at different ventures or businesses or innovations, that require funding. And that Africa is attracting quite a lot, this is about 2021 anyway, last year they attracted 7.4 billion, and we see quite a lot, especially in Nigeria. Nigeria is now of the top place.
Hello, Mr. Philip.
Hello.
Okay. I thought I lost
you. No. So this is Nigeria has become a major attraction, for this kind of funding. Where you have the tech people, the fintech people, so there's so many of them. I can't quite quickly pick up one right now, but the flutter wave, the flutter wave of this world, and several of them, attracting these PEs and VC venture capitalists, looking for that's the word to use, bankable ventures, bankable businesses and bankable innovations, that have come up, that they put in money. So it's positive, that despite the situation of 2020, and where there have been so many downers, that the Africa PE and VC scene, is up and running and is doing quite well.
Now, this report, like you said, has highlighted how Africa's economy, has continued to be fertile ground with attractive investment opportunities for investors who are in search of youths. Now, we are attracting people, but we ourselves, taking this to the first story where we spoke about subsidy, are we seeing these things that investors are seeing? Are we allowing ourselves to be open? I'm using Nigeria in particular, because if we're letting this investment to come in to grow, I don't think we'll be facing one source of revenue. We should have a wide range. So have we tapped into it?
Well, what you would notice, of course, there are some Nigerians individually tapping into it, but I think situations are such that they are seen better by, I don't know how this happens, but it seems to be that people outside see clearer,
Yes.
about the opportunities that are there, the things that are going on, that they can put their money on, but it also clearly shows how you can separate public sector management and private sector management, because a lot of this money, coming in, is going into private sector ventures, if not all of it, private sector. So there's quite a lot of activities, taking place in terms of innovation, in terms of business, what's it called, incubation, that people are seeing the value in it. So it's almost like a lot of these ventures that are attracting this monies, are such that it's people trying to just let me not use. I don't know whether ignore would be the word. Ignore the challenges. Yeah. Ignore the challenges and just carry on. And they are creating opportunities where there's quite a lot of difficulties. So it's almost like those difficulties, are producing opportunities. They're producing openings, for businesses, to some kind of businesses anyway, to thrive. And it is these opportunities that are being created, or these ventures, these innovations that are being created, that are attracting the funds, from PCs PEs and VCs, that are looking at it and saying, oh, there are people who are really doing things, for instance, technology is one thing, because they say, oh, technology. You can use technology to reduce a lot of challenges. You don't have to travel from one part of the country to the other, from one part of the state to another. To be able to transact a particular kind of business. And people are because they are creating innovation to reduce those challenges. And they are actually attracting attention from the public, creating enough was a window for people to come in, and as a result of that, you are having people say, oh, we are betting on this, we are betting on that, so many bets going on, whether it is in the area of supply chain, movement of goods and services, where technology and innovation, have come in to broaden, create opportunities or broaden opportunities, for ease of supply chain activities. You can see that it's private individuals that are creating this, making this happen, and attracting this funding, but it then shows how managing refineries shouldn't be in the hands of government. It's clearly, it's so clear, give it to innovative people in the private sector, let them run with it, and of course you solve a lot of problem by doing that, and then you free up money. We talk about billions of naira going into managing refineries that have not been producing anything for over 10 years, and then you have you then have those billions not being available to fund other things like education, like healthcare, and other social infrastructure. So, I mean, that's enough for you to sit down in a boardroom to say, we need to stop this, but that's not happening, which is a shame, really.
Yes, it's truly a shame. Overall, this is a good report, and hopefully we continue to see more of this, and we ourselves recognize that we are fast becoming, a growing climate that people are seeing opportunities to tap into.
Exactly.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Philip. We'll surely see how the stories develop this week.
Thank you very much, Nonso.
Okay.
Have a great week.
You too. That was Philip Isaka, the publisher, Business AM. You can listen in again by visiting the News Expert podcast on our website at www.africabusinessradio.com. I am Chukunonso Modi. Thank you for listening, and stay tuned for more.